Sup? So, this is my thought. I don't think America is really where we need to be. Hear me out. America is full of a lot of bullshit now. Like, all the reasons that we left the old world are now present here by the bushelful. Here's my proposition. We get the biggest fucking boat we can, or as many boats as we can, and we go take over Scotland. Okay, now that's crazy, right? That's crazy. But the English and Scottish people are soft. If we get a bunch of people from like America and, Texas in particular, maybe find like some hardy pirates from around the world to join our cause and just like show up in the fucking Highlands and not leave and bring horses and guns and like seeds. Like, just start farming in northern Scotland with rifles and see what shakes out. I think that's what we should do. We should get a bunch of Scottish people from America together and just go back. Be like, this is ours now. Claim it as our fucking reparations for World War II. I would like to see what they would do. Like, this is where I'm at in my life. Is like, I don't like the American government, but they have made it such that there is no winning with them. It's like talking to E Honda. You're never going to win, so why bother doing it? This is why we should just move to Scotland. And when we do this, we build a castle because we need a castle. Probably build a lot of castles. And just rule over northern Scotland like fucking kings of old, because there's nothing they could do to stop us. And if you're like, oh, well, they'll come and they'll blow us up or whatever with some high technology, I don't think they would have the balls. And if they did, well, then there's answers to that too. But I think you would be surprised that if you went really low tech and primitive and like we're just living off the land in the Highlands, I think they would have a very, very hard time killing all of you, and they would have a very, very hard time justifying that on the world stage. And like, this is where I'm at with this, is like, we should make some sort of a protest somewhere by doing this. Just show up with fucking horses and cows and seeds and tools and just start building farms back in the old country someplace. Show up like the Amish of Scotland. Like, this is ours, we're taking it back. And you're like, well, how would you justify that? Well, this is how. The name that I have on my knife company is not my real family name. My real family name is something completely different. And it's very well known in Scotland. And I would make the claim that these are our ancestral lands. That's my new plan. I think we should go to the Orkney Islands. I don't know. This is like my new crazy idea of how to, like, die on a hill somewhere from like a just enemy, I guess. Because like, the American government is not a fucking worthy adversary. They just aren't. They don't fight in any way that a man would conduct himself in war. So why would you ever fucking want to engage in any conflict with them? They're going to collapse eventually. Whenever they do, they can have fun. I would like to find a new country to live in before that happens, I guess. And I know there's a few people that watch this that are of very similar thinking that are of Scottish descent in Texas. And I think we could get a merry band of fucking pirates. Go make some sort of giant political point by being mountain men in Scotland. Or fuck, we could just go do that somewhere here in the US, really. That would be the way cheaper and easier route. But there's something poetic about going to the motherland and fucking building a fucking farm a la, 1000 AD. I'm a romantic. Like the notion of dying while building a farm on land that your family in the 1200s owned. That sounds good to me. I don't know. I'd rather live. Maybe we could go somewhere and live. Like, this is the other thing I've been thinking about is Scotland is the hell of a choice to go and die. But if you like want to live, I kind of think rather than Scotland, what about Morocco? I know that seems like an odd choice, but hear me out. They're even more backwards than the British are. And while they are Muslim, I think that if you did it right, you wouldn't have a jihad on your hands. You'd have to basically set up the old pirate port of Tangiers. That's what I would like to do. Like this is my other like if you just let me do whatever I want. Uh, on the coast of Morocco, the port of Tangiers was always a free port to all, basically, and it was a Muslim port, and as a result, like as long as you were good with the people that ran that port, you could just go there, and as a result, it kind of became like Monaco or Montenegro in Europe, where it's like there's just a whole bunch of people that have Swiss bank accounts that don't care what country they live in, and they hate all of the countries, so they go to these places where there are no rules for them. That's what Tangiers could be again. Except instead of it being you can buy your way in or whatever, like we just have a citizenry of whoever fucking fights to get the thing that is your initial voting class, and we allow people to join that through various means, but like it's not an instant thing. And that voting body of men that fucking took the country that eventually becomes the people that hold elections and shit, I think would be the way to go. And then, it's whoever wants to pay us the most money to fucking come to our country. Like, this is the stuff that, like, I'm done with America. It's not that I'm done with America, it's that America's done with me, and I'm not going to give it what it wants. Because I think what it wants is for us all to throw some sort of fit here and have some Civil War 2.0, and then they can just come in and crush us. I think we can do better than that, boys. I think we could do much better than that. And this is why Africa, I think, looks the most entertaining. Northern Africa, probably more than the other parts of it because of various reasons, but disease, and if you have your back to the desert, no one's going to be coming after you that way. And again, if we have horses and castles and fucking guns, and you know how to live in the desert, like, and we have wells and shit, I think we'll be fine. Also, some of those places, I think, are only deserts because they don't do the things to undesert them. We could do some of that. But like people think you need a country that makes food. You don't necessarily need a country that makes food if you have a free port like that and a large, formidable military that protects it. And like this is the thing that we would have to have when we went there. Is like it's fun to talk about this with 40 people, but like if you had 40,000 people and all of their money and possessions to put into ships and materiel and shit like that, build a fleet, go park it in the harbor, and start buying houses and shit. Eventually, they will figure out what you are doing. Like this is what sparked the initial Arab-Israeli conflict shit when the the Jews basically invaded Israel. They uh, they just went in and started building farms. It's very biblical. They went in and started building kibbutzes that are a little bit more than a farm. It's like a collective farm, kind of pseudo communist ish, but with the idea that we're doing this for a purpose. That they're soldiers, and like all of those kibbutzes were secretly like building shit for the war. And like this is where the Jews that went to Israel had definitely picked up a little bit of their Russian brethren's mindset on various things, and the Germans too. But like this is some Russian thinking for sure that led to the kibbutzes. I'm not saying we need kibbutzes, but that's kind of what I'm describing, I guess. Go in and start taking it. Well, I didn't peg Honda in Tulsa. I did grab his ass. Yeah. So the temperature wave. I've been praying to God for heat. I've also been praying to God for locusts now. So we'll see when that happens. But like, I've gone crazy to the point that I'm just sitting here with a wizard stick, like trying to destroy the government with the weather, saying, "Okay, fuck it. Let's go to Tangiers. Let's go to Scotland. Let's go to fucking the Bahamas. Anywhere. There are all sorts of places that if we built a pirate fleet, could go take. We're the best armed people in the world. Like, is there going to be some sort of reaction to this? Yeah, they're going to excommunicate us, but then we'll have our own land, and someone will like us. Whoever will still talk to us will sell us shit. And I guarantee you, someone will see this as like counting coup against the United States government, and we'll get a high five. It might not be from good people. I'll grant you that. They might be bad people, but someone has to do something at this point. Like, I think invading Tangiers or the Bahamas and making it a free pirate port is pretty tame on the list of things that could be done. I really think going and farming in Scotland and daring the Queen of England to fucking kill us, that has that has a lot of things written all over it that I love. I fucking hate the Queen. Like, while I like some things about the Queen, I hate some things about the Queen. And like things that I hate about the Queen are, at the end of the day, she still has the power of death and judgment over an entire fucking country. She could dissolve that country's government in an instant, and she commands all of their military. All of their military officers are very, very much, they're working right alongside the future king. There's a mentality in that military that you don't get if you're not in it. I've never been in it, but I've talked to people who are, and it's evident that they have this. And it's that the way that my grandfather was God Country Corps, they are king and country. So you're telling me that this giant self-defense force of military equipment that's owned by one rich bitch has this mentality that that is their living god that they must serve. This is what you're telling me. That's good to know. Yeah, your elections are really free there. Fuck that. This is where, like, I'd like to put her head on a block, to be honest. I don't know how any fucking American could not feel that way. Any fucking, representative of anyone from the fucking world, really. And it's not that she's evil or what she does is evil. She could do so much worse. I get that. But it's that no one should have that power. And like, if I did have that power, I would take it up for 5 minutes, use it to kill that bitch, and then throw it into the ocean. And I think that's the way. And when I see the Queen of England, it's just, God, it makes me fucking sick. It's pretending that you're better than people. That's what it is. They live a certain way or whatever and expect their kids to too because they want to set an example and yada yada yada, and like that whole mentality. I want to set an example. I think you should be free. I think you should do what you want. Whatever that is. If you want to go smoke dope, go smoke dope. If you want to fucking be a doctor, be a doctor. Like, pick what you want to do and do it. Don't fucking look to the Queen of England or whoever to fucking tell you what to do. Like, I have this shit in my heart that just drives me to go fucking, I don't know, do horrible or great things. And I'm trying to choose to do great things instead of horrible things. But at the same time, sure is fun to be a pirate. And I honestly think that's the answer to this is we should give up this country. I've been saying that for a while in kind of a jest. But I'm starting to say it more and more seriously. Oh. I think after the revolution, most people are dead on the West Coast, and a new group of wrath will commence. Oklahoma land run on California. Yeah, that's kind of where I see this is headed. This is why I built the minivan thing. Is like that's not really a dope vehicle. It is something that gets 25 miles to the gallon. That was less than $2,000. That's all it is. The rest of it is to have some sort of thing to live out of while I build a house and wherever the fuck I end up, because it's probably not going to be here. My goal is to smoke dope and bang Princess Diana after my. That would be fun, especially if you were doing it at the same time. But I like the people that fuck English women simply because they want to do to them what their ancestors did to their countries. I heard Craig Ferguson say that once. I'm like, hmm. I'm like, I think that's half of why I like to date African American men. Like, legitimately, I'm from the South and I feel a little bit bad, and the other thing is they're cute. But like, I know in their head there's like reparations payments going on. That's okay. That's if that's what it needs to be. Whoa. Hmm. That does sound good. I'm kind of a sadist though, so yeah. Anyway, the pirate port of Tangiers would of course have the world's finest whorehouses. I think there's only two people watching this, and there only ever will be. And I don't care. Like this is the thing. It's fuck it. Like I'm tired of dealing with other people's bullshit, and so much of the things that I view as wrong about the world right now basically have to do with the fact that I'm stuck here in America and I'm not allowed to make the decisions, and no one is actually making the decisions. We're just like spinning a big wheel and throwing darts and shit at this point. See, I think if we did want to just say Scotland is Tulsa or whatever and like claim Oklahoma as ours as Indian territory, this is a route to go. And we would be the farthest in pirate port. We have a casino there already, and there aren't whorehouses here really, but there's a hell of a lot of Asian massage parlors that look sketchy as fuck. Just put it that way. And I live here, so I'm guessing there are other whores here. I really hate the Queen. Jolly and his fucking Queen loving self. See, I think you're right, Smoke. They are rubbing tugs. I've never been in one except last week. I was walking from the weed store to my house because it was 115 degrees outside, and I thought that sounded fun because I'm crazy, I guess. And on the way, I passed a massage parlor and saw a spray painted cat next to the door and went, okay, fuck it, we gotta go in here. I went in and there's just like a shitload of Asian women. I'm like, that's always what I figured it looked like in here. Okay, and just walked out. The dude that walked in front of me looked sketchy as fuck. Like tattoos and like 75 years old with a long gray ponytail. I don't think I would go to one of those places, to be honest, boys. I think there are much higher class hoes. Plus, I'm guessing that those places, at best, you get a blowjob. And that's if you're really hot and pay a lot of money. That's the feeling that I've always gotten about those places. I might be wrong. Like it's I don't like sketchy, weird things where it's not even like I'd rather have a whorehouse. I want like a menu and like this is how much it costs. This is gonna be Ray Ray's cat house at the fucking pirate port of Tangiers. Would you like 8 naked women to lick you from head to toe? That's X amount of money. I could make so much money. You're like, how would you get women to do this? Oh, that's easy. You make drugs legal there. Like, if you've never fucked a woman motivated by cocaine, I recommend it. You shouldn't do it all the time, but you should at least do it once. My girlfriend Dakota just desperately wanted to do that. I'm like the magical fairy that makes dreams come true, so we did that. Jesus Christ. It's like it turns girls into a Hoover vacuum. They're very appreciative. I don't get it. Like I'll get to that, Smoke. It's It's not that good of a drug. I don't think. I, I guess I'm always like that anyway. Like that's the ADHD or whatever. Like, why would you ever do uppers? Doesn't make sense to me. And the thing that I was like, we'll get to is the smoke said the trick is smearing coke all over your schlong. That's how you get a numb dick, but like you should probably do that at least once. Like this is the shit that like I don't know. I was somewhat afraid to tread on before, but now my plan is basically to go bury all of my guns except for the black powder revolver and walk the earth in my fucking minivan until the collapse. My black powder revolver, I think I'm going to convert to cartridges, and I'm still trying to decide between 45 ACP or 45 Colt. It is very hard to nut on coke. That's a true statement. And again, that's one of those like there is no reason that cocaine should be super super illegal and super super expensive, and meth should be super super illegal and super super cheap. That is ridiculously stupid. That's doing a lot of damage to our society. That's what that's doing. Because like no one in their right mind would do meth. Some people in their right mind might do coke. And because there is no coke and they've done some coke and now they want more, they get talked into doing meth. And like that's destroying our country. Oh, don't say that, Smoke. If they are elected in 2024 and they take the House again in this election, I I doubt they take the House again, to be honest. I think there's enough people upset in every state that like it tips that balance. They only won by a little tiny bit. And that's the thing is the every election for the last little bit has been they win by a little tiny bit, whoever does. Yeah, Smoke, fentanyl sucks. I got dosed with that at the hospital. I I don't want to talk about it really, but they gave me fentanyl and it sucked. And then Honda uh, was like talking to Duke about aliens and showing us pictures of aliens and shit while I'm high on fentanyl. And like I'm sitting there going, "Hey, dude, could you stop that?" Like, well, what's wrong? You know, handle you whatever. I'm like, dude, they dosed me with fentanyl at the fucking hospital. Could you stop showing me fucking aliens? Like, you wonder why, like, we have issues. Like, eventually I'll probably talk to him again. Years from now. That's why I bring him up on occasion. Like, it's like the ghost that I'm shadowboxing with. I need to fucking stop doing that, but it's hard not to. Like, that's half the thing I think about being on E Honda's shows. I love slash hate them because I like to fight. And I like to verbally fight like that. And I don't know, it's fun. It's one of those things like, I'm not going to go there. That's a thing best left unsaid. Only the pegging in Tulsa will know. Uh, what do you think? 45 ACP or 45 Colt for a revolver? I wish I could just get one that did both, but that's not really possible because it's a single action. I'm thinking 45 Colt gives me way more case capacity. See, Smoke, you get it. I live for the argument. Like, it becomes frustrating to me when there's no way to win. Basically, like you're arguing in circles because you both disagree for whatever reasons, and you will never change your minds. But that, in a way, makes you the two perfect people to discuss the issues of the world or whatever. Especially if you have some respect for one another and neither one of you will ever back down from the other. Like, there needs to be a show on mainstream television that is like E Honda and my girlfriend Dakota arguing. Not me, those two. And like, she needs to grow a pair of balls or whatever and like beat me in that fight. But like, she was this super lefty, anarcho communist, crazy Democrat that was very fun to fuck. Um, or get fucked by, or really just about anything with. And the reason why is like the argument that led up to the sex was amazing. Well, my thing is, I think either way, I'm gonna have to load black powder rounds if it's ACP or long Colt. So I'm probably hand loading for this thing, and I'm going to have a lot of 45 ACP cases because I have a 1911, and that seems cheap and economical. And like in an emergency, that black powder revolver, I'm sure you could pack a few smokeless 45s into. I wouldn't shoot more than 15 or 20 rounds like that, but like, see, it wasn't hate fucking. It was I love you and hate you all at the same time, and now I want to make you shut up. And it was mutual. That's like the thing that's best. Is like it can't be one sided. It needs to be this like explosion of passion between two people. That's the best. And if that happens on dope, God help you. Every time we were ever fucking doing drugs or anything like that, we'd end up, on some bender for however long, and then like not fucking for a while, and not doing anything for a while, just hanging out and talking and whatever, and like then we would go to bed and we like get into bed and snuggle and whatever, and inevitably that's what triggered the fucking like sex mania fest of all time. I still don't fully understand that, but I miss that. It was like everyone had sobered up to a point where you could think right, but you were definitely still high. And like now you're trying to go to bed and like you love each other and you're all naked and whatever. And she gets horny. That's when she gets horny. Like I, I, I have yet to figure out what makes other women horny or not. Like, I know what makes me horny, but like, Jesus Christ, it seems like most girls aren't in touch with themselves enough sexually and mentally to ever be turned on at all, probably. I think that's just a result of our culture. Sucks. Free the pussies. I watched my girlfriend and I once watched another transgender woman use a glass rod and a propane torch to blow a glass pipe in my living room once. I really can't believe that happened. Like that's one of those things that, like, in going back and looking at my life, that's some weird shit. There were three trannies in a house at the same time, and what were we doing? We were using my tools and forging equipment to blow glass pipes. America! They were dope pipes though, and they were weed pipes. She was wanting to do glass blowing and whatever, and like was just convinced that she could do it and whatever, and she won the bet. The smoke. Women get wet when you fix something or mow the lawn or clean the floor. A little bit, especially if you are somewhat attractive and do that half naked. It is hot. Did they have color? The one blowing the pipe? No. Uh, if you're asking about their skin color, they were Hispanic, I guess. White Hispanic mix, Indian, somewhere in there. Oh no, the pipes, the pipes were clear. I thought you were asking if the trans girl. That's funny. That's one of those, like, I'm not racist, but at the same time, you know, she was cool though. She still is cool. Her name's Sabrina, and she's one of those, like, yeah. I'm not even gonna talk about that either. There's some things best left not talked about, but yeah. Lesbian three ways are fun. Let's just put it that way. They're way more fun than straight three ways. Straight three ways can be fun, but it very much depends on the straight people. Ray Ray's Tangier's Cat House and Bar. That's what I'm thinking. I think Morocco is still run by a king. If that's the case, I think I might just, like, show up there and lay out my plan and be like, "This is what I'm going to do. You can choose to let me to do it, or you can and like enjoy the free whorehouse, or you could get in my way." And like, as much as I hate kings, at the end of the day, I would much rather deal with a king under these circumstances than our fucking federal government. Like, at least you can cut a king's head off. There's no even fucking head to cut off with this shit. It's ridiculous. We've created a monster. So the hottest girl fight I've ever seen was in high school. I went to a Christian school and we went to a summer camp thing. This was in the springtime, like the week before spring break. They took a week and just took the whole school to a fucking summer retreat thing and had like Bible study, kumbaya, and canoe rides and whatever. It was kind of fun, but this part was especially fun. There was this giant field of mud that happened next to where they did the canoes or whatever, and one thing led to another, and basically every girl at my school ended up fighting there in that mud for one reason or another. And they had just been canoeing and shit, so they weren't wearing much. And basically a small crowd gathered for that one. By small crowd, I mean every fucking man there, even me, which I am hard to get to a spectacle. Like that's not really what motivates me, as you might imagine. Like, but Jesus Christ, like these were some of the hottest girls on the planet because they were like the Richie Rich girls at this school, half naked, just beating the shit out of each other in mud. And my principal walked up next to me and was like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I have no fucking idea." He's like, "You can't say fuck." And I'm like, "I just fucking did." And then I pointed his head at what I was looking at. And he's like, "Okay." I love my principal. My my principal at that school got me on a certain level, and like that is the reason I am not in prison. I uh, I should have not been at that school. I well, smoke at the time. I had a camera phone, but this was the year before I got an iPhone. This was I had a Motorola flip phone thing that I paid $35 for, and the pictures I took of that fight, you can't tell what's going on. And like they weren't worth pulling off the phone. It was so sad. That in a nutshell is why when the iPhone became a thing, I worked at the daycare at my school for like a year and a half to save up money to buy a fucking iPhone. Best decision I ever made. Also, at the same time, I cracked the screen on that iPhone the third day I had it. It still worked, but it had a fucking crack through the top of it. In reality, I think that was good for me because I think that piece of glass was going to crack or break no matter what. And it breaking in a small way at the top of the screen relieved the stress out of the fucking glass and kept the rest of it from breaking. So, but yeah, I saved up my fucking money from working at the fucking daycare at the school to buy a fucking iPhone. Like that's how I've been my whole life. Like it doesn't matter like what I want or whatever. I'll do what it takes to fucking save up the money. And like I guess I've never had a goal that was crazy. Like don't think, "Oh, I'm going to go buy the White House." Think I'm going to buy 10 acres and maybe someday after some work I'll be able to afford to build the White House there or whatever, you know? If you want a fucking mansion, that's the way I would go. Why would you ever pay for someone else's mansion? Like this is the thing I will never understand is land is relatively cheap if you buy it in the right place. And there's no reason to live someplace like California. There's plenty of places in Texas or the South or Oklahoma or fucking North Dakota. Like I could keep naming places that are better than California. But yeah, the mud fight would have been viral. Like honestly, half of those girls were in bikinis. and the other half were wearing like whatever they would wear to play beach volleyball, which I'm a fan of that sport, just to be honest. Like, I was a fan of volleyball at that school, and putting it on a beach really just makes it better. Like, I think Top Gun made it a little bit weird if you're not gay, but I loved in the new Top Gun that they had fucking the beach volleyball scene because it's the obligatory gay ass Navy beach volleyball high five scene. Join the Navy. Bunch of fucking homos. To be clear, my brother is in the Navy. Ergo, that's why. Or at least he was. I shouldn't pick on him so much now. It, half of what I do in anything is because my brother's in prison right now, and eventually he's going to get out. And I'm hoping to have land and at least a couple of buildings by then. And I know my brother. I know what has happened, and I'm building him a castle to plot his revenge from. Should he want that? Should he not want that? You know, we'll have land and a castle. Hopefully in Tangiers or Scotland. Like that would be badass. I thought about Israel too, but like, so it's not very free. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not very free. Like the other part of me that wants to stay in Oklahoma thinks that the thing I should do is find whoever is like running the Cherokee Nation and would have sway to change the name of the casino and basically go and count coup on that motherfucker and tell him that he doesn't have a set of balls if he doesn't change it to Biff's. Um, Back to the Future. I I met the chief of the Cherokee Marshal Service once. That was interesting. The circumstances under which it happened were what made it interesting, but yeah, I'm not gonna go into that either. Let's just put it this way: I could have been charged with all sorts of things, but because of me being me and me being a good person and me working for people that work for God, I got a pass. And that was very interesting. Ever since that happened, I've been a little bit like, well, fuck you. I guess I'm untouchable. Not really, but it was a good feeling. Someone had the power of death and judgment over you and saw that you were you and let you go. I think that's the only way you truly grow. Really. Like, a lot of things make you grow or whatever, but like, if you really want to grow, count coup on somebody. You figure out what that means, but it means certain things to me. And for me, it doesn't really have any power to it if you didn't have the chance of losing everything. There's a lot of things in life that like if you didn't do it while having the chance of losing everything, then why does it fucking matter? You know? Like this is when I see I don't know. I'm not gonna talk about that one. There's a lot of I'm not gonna talk about that ones. Talk about Hunter Biden smoking dope. Like, does Hunter Biden just like wear a helmet covered in GoPros every time he does drugs? I mean, like, not that I was like necessarily careful or whatever, but like I wasn't filming giant piles of drugs. Not that I ever even had giant piles of drugs, but I don't understand that at all. It's like I'm watching a cartoon show made for me, and like the real news is something else. Because like, how is it that we have all of this evidence of Hunter Biden like weighing giant piles of crack on a scale, but that doesn't mean anything? Oh. Anonymous Hunter can physically have sex or do drugs without turning on a camera. That's probably true. It's not the sex he likes, it's being watched. That is probably very, very true about that man. But oh, I really want to modify my Confederate holster in some way, and I'm not sure which way I'm going to go yet. But hear me out. I could put the Wheel of Pain over the CS, but could put the Wheel of Pain next to the CS. I could carve BB next to the CS. That one I particularly think is funny. I have a morale patch that is oh, what's that movie? From Coming to America. It's Mr. Randy Watson's sexual chocolate bar. And I would love to find a way to affix it to that holster. But basically, I'm turning that Confederate holster into, oh, it's like a sculpture. It's a sculpture of America. That's what I'm making. Like, it's going to say something about the Civil War and racism. I like putting the BB next to the CS. I think that's fucking funny. I might do the Wheel of Pain next to the CS and do the BB. The Randy Watson sexual chocolate bar patch is just too big to effectively fit on the holster. So I'm I am so much saying fuck it now. I'm gonna be carrying around a black powder revolver and a Confederate holster that has some sort of a sexual joke about racism on it. I think I'm the only comedian that makes weird pictures with guns because that's the thing that makes them laugh. I really I really would like to have the money to just do some of the crazier gun builds that I've wanted to do. Like one of them someone did. I think it was Dan Bilzerian. I like 7 years ago had the idea of doing the Salient Arms High Point that I was going to at the time I was working for a guy that this is what we did. We were, in the manufacturing business of various things, and we had the connections and the contacts to send parts to all of these different places to have stuff done. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go buy a High Point C9 and we're going to actually gold nitride the barrel. Not paint it gold, actually gold nitride that barrel, actually mill this piece of shit ZMAX slide to look like a Salient Arms thing, and then actually mill it on top for a real RMR and put real suppressor height sights on it, and like you just keep going, like stipple the thing, like make a High Point C9 look like it really went to Salient Arms. And then my plan was to take pictures and shit of it and put it on Instagram and like find a way to sell it in an interesting way. And I don't mean like for a bunch of money. I mean like unleash it on the world. Like go sell that gun for $100 to somebody who isn't in on the joke. And like the thing is, we knew enough people in the gun business that like we were going down the list of fuckers that we should pawn that thing to because it would end up at our friends or whatever who buy shit, and they would end up bringing it to us going, can you believe that someone did this? And then like we show them the pictures. That was going to be good, but like it was one of those things that like for our people to gold nitride one barrel for a High Point, I had to buy the High Point and do a bunch of work just to get them the barrel, and then it had to like be in its own run, and it was going to cost a shit ton of money. And I'm like, I want to make a practical joke. I'm losing money on this, guys. Can you throw it in with something? And the answer was basically no, because of whatever High Point did to that barrel. They were afraid to put the High Point barrel in with other shit. Like, thanks. So that's why that never happened. That's why I think Dan Bilzerian, I'm guessing he just took gold spray paint, did that. I thought about doing that. But if you can't do the real thing, if you can't, you know, actually gold titanium nitride your High Point, why even bother? Although for the photo, the gold paint would have effectively given us the look, I guess. Like it just to have the photos out there on the internet would have been fucking cool. And like this was the stuff that I did for this person was just sit there and think of this shit. The stuff that gets you attention on the internet. I was pretty good at that, really. At some point I'm gonna need money again. Whenever that happens, I'm probably gonna go get a job. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do yet. At this point, I am thoroughly enjoying building the van and finishing up some projects and shit, and I have shit I need to do. And just to be honest, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do for a job. I don't really care either. That's the thing. It's like I figure right now, if I use my money wisely, I could probably not have another job for another 5 years. But I really don't want to live that way. And inflation is getting worse. So that timetable is probably a lot shorter than I think it is. Like this is where like having your money out working for you would be good, but like what do you do with that? You know? There's nothing really good to put your money into right now. If you even had any. Ow. Like that's half the thing with most of America right now is like we're about to hit really hard times. We aren't even at hard times yet, really. Most people think we're at hard times. We're still at a point where people have some savings in the form of their car and their food. Like the Great Depression and shit, people were standing in soup lines that went around the block just to get food. And I'm fucking determined for that never to be my family or really anyone in the state of Oklahoma ever again. And as a result of that, if things start getting that bad, I think the surrounding states should really start to watch the fuck out because the last pirate port of Tulsa is still here. And I'm just guessing at the rest of the population of Oklahoma that life finds a way. And the thing that pisses me off the most is I think a lot of what's going on right now isn't so much that I control the weather, but is like they control the weather. And for one reason or another, they want it to be hotter right now. Like if you're like, oh, they don't control the weather, go look into HARP. Go look into fucking the MACV-SOG reports of LERP teams and shit that were sent hundreds of fucking miles illegally across borders and shit. And the only thing they did when they were there was give fucking weather reports. What the fuck do you think they were doing? Like, this is where I'm at with a lot of this shit. Is it's not that they control the weather, but like whatever they're doing with HARP and cloud seeding allows them to do a great deal. He used NASA's cover for weather control. I wouldn't doubt that. Back in the 1930s, they'd make a huge pot of beans and eat it with cornbread for 3 days, left out on the counter. See, like, that's how people live or used to. And, like, we're used to this whole fake thing that they've made. And if you had to go back to living without their grid right now, if you adapt your life quickly, correctly, you would still be living relatively the same. If you don't adapt fast, you're going to be cooking a pot of beans and cornbread and leaving it on the counter. And I'm not judging that or fucking saying anything about that. I'm just saying you need to be aware. Like, this is why I bought a solar generator and a fridge. And, like, the reason I'm putting them in the van is it seems like that's where I'm going to need them. Like, my idea is wherever I go, I will have the capabilities of that van. And I'm building like my Batmobile for the apocalypse. I A buddy of mine is like the M60 king of the world. I'm gonna hit him up and see what parts I can get that were torch cut that he's not gonna use to rebuild shit, and I'm gonna try to find someone to weld them together to make a like brush guard kind of thing to weld to the bumper of my truck or van or whatever the fuck this is. When I say brush guard, it makes me say truck, and saying brush guard and minivan in the same sentence, it makes me giggle a little bit. I'm planning to mount a crocodile or alligator skull to the hood of the car in some way, and it's going to have horns on it, and it's going to be an alligator Loki skull. And I'm gonna like find a bunch of other skulls and shit and put that all on the roof of the car because like I'm gonna have a roof rack and a solar panel, and they're gonna end at a certain point at the front of the car. And I'd like to take that portion at the front of the car and do something with it. And I was, thinking about putting the alligator Loki skull up there and just having the one. And the argument has been made to me that I need a hood ornament, and that would be the perfect hood ornament. But I should also then just have this like mountain of skulls in the front of the fucking basket and solar panel. And like this is the thing is you can buy beetle cleaned alligator skulls pretty cheap, and like I'm thinking about doing that to get the Loki one, and maybe like do a few of those on the top of the fucking thing to start with, and then like the rest of them are just going to be things that get killed or whatever. I can't wait to be driving this around Tulsa. My goal is basically for it to look cool enough that nobody fucks with it. And I'm gonna have some sort of sticker on the back of it that's saying that like I will add your head to the pile on top of the fucking car. I don't know. I keep also thinking about putting a sign like that on my front yard because like I had a package stolen again today. That was fun. Like I ordered a fucking 1941 silver half dollar because I want to drill a hole in it and put it on a set of beads. And I can't even get my fucking silver half dollar. And because it's eBay, I probably will never see that fucking money again. Like, not that it's a lot of money, but it just sucks that with eBay, if it shows that they delivered it, even if they never fucking delivered it at your residence, you have no options now. Like, sorry, like either that or like Porch Pirates. I don't think it's Porch Pirates though, because this would be in the mailbox. It's a fucking coin. Like, I've never lost anything to Porch Pirates that was in the fucking mailbox. They're like, not to tell you how predators work, but if they don't see it, they can't hunt it. So, like, the only way that this got stolen, in my opinion, was the delivery person saw coins on the label and they just pocketed it. Something like that. Or they delivered it to the wrong fucking house, which don't even get me started on that shit. Like, how do you not deliver it to the right house? Like, your job is to deliver packages. You have a thing in your pocket that you type the address into and it takes you there. Even if the house didn't have a number on it, the houses on either side of it would have numbers on it. Like, you could figure it out. Not that the house doesn't have a number or not, but like, I don't understand. And this is, in a nutshell, I think going to end a lot of this online shipping stuff eventually. Like, if this is affecting me marginally, my guess is in the inner cities of America that like Amazon's probably having to like put guns on their fucking delivery people. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe just everybody's chill. But like it seems like there are definitely people that are not chill. Well, I'm gonna smoke more and think about something to talk about. What do you guys want to talk about? I love Lancer AR-15 mags. I don't know that they're better in any way, but they look cool. Like the steel feed lip thing, I have no idea if that helps or not, really. Like, you could make a solid argument that because they're bonded to the polymer, like that's a weakness. But it looks cool. Anonymous, I do want chickens. Uh, I don't have anywhere to keep animals at the moment. And the thing is, like, yeah, I'm staying here or whatever, but I'm not going to be staying here for long or whatever. Like, my plan is to hit the road. And if I'm not hitting the road, then I'm probably going to be, oh, I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to do if I'm not going to hit the road. I'm working on me, to be honest. It's what a lot of this is and has been for a while. Like, all of my posts on Instagram ever were, hey, I'm projecting and doing this and working on me at the same time, and I need to vent. Raw, if anyone, you gotta what luck? Well, I don't understand what any of that says. I did something happen in Greenwood. I don't watch the news. Like, this is the thing you should understand is I don't care what happens really. Um, I'm done hearing about mass shootings and I'm done hearing about various things. I cruise YouTube and occasionally they have a news thing there and I'll see a headline and I might even watch a video if it's something really important. Other than that, I really don't care to hear about how we're all gonna fucking die anymore. I watch Canadian Prepper and Goshen Prepping, and I think that they are not like people that are like pure or anything like that, but like Canadian Prepper's selling you shit, and he's like fear porn. That's one view, and Goshen Prepping is like, okay, we'll all be fine. We'll all be fine now. Um, but the world's on fire. But we'll all be fine. Everything's fine. How are you? It's hilarious to watch Goshen Prepping. He really like I admire him because he is just continuing on with his plan despite significant evidence to like the fact that we're all doomed, basically. And I don't know that we're all doomed, but I hope Goshen Prepping is right. But while he prepares to be a farmer, I sharpen my sword. And I don't do that to take shit from Goshen Prepping. I do that because there's not going to be that much to do. And with not that much to do and villainy afoot, I think it'd be really cool to get some kills with swords. So I'm probably going to go find mischief somewhere and fucking stick a sword into it. And as far as that goes, like, that's not really a better plan than Goshen preppings. And that's my point, really, at the end of the day, is that my plan is no more or less foolish than his, or yours, or anyone else's, because it ignores the real problem. The real problem is that we're run by crazy fucks that I don't think actually have logical motivations. I think that there's some shit they've got in their head that motivates them to do what they do, and we know not what that is. I like how Nancy Pelosi's husband has to drink just to put up with living with her. Like, seriously, that bitch sucks. And it's one of those, like, the thing that sucks about her is that she didn't die 20 years ago. Like, would you die? Please. Like, this is how I feel about all of the politicians that are still alive from when I was a child. Would you die? Thanks. It's a mix of incest and demons. I don't know what that was in reference to, but it could be in reference to many things. Like, oh, Nancy Pelosi, incest and demons. Gotcha. JFK was boning Nancy. Was she alive then? She had to have been, right? That could answer a lot of questions, really. I think JFK was boning a lot of people. I think like half of the reason that he got shot was Hunter Biden. Go look at Hunter Biden, and now imagine if it wasn't Joe Biden that was president, but it was Hunter, and no one knew about all of his craziness. And he was doing crazier and crazier shit. And he was scaring, well, he was scaring the Democrats. I want to know why JFK got killed. Like, that's a pretty good answer. There's other answers. It's definitely the military industrial complex that put a bullet in his head. As for the exact what fors and whys, I'm not like I that is as good a reason as any that I've heard. And like, he did stick his dick in anything that moved and was doing all the drugs in the world. The thing you'll find with great men, and by great men I mean either legitimately great and powerful men or pissants like Hunter Biden that rise to the top via a fucked up system, is that they come with their fair share of idiosyncrasies and demons. And Hunter's shit and Nancy's husband to some extent are their demons. And that's the thing with Nancy Pelosi's husband, is just to fucking be married to that bitch. He's got to be a winner at something. I don't know. I haven't looked into him that much. He's probably some sort of business dude. And he's probably very successful. He's probably very successful because he's married to that bitch. Let me guess. one of those like, if you really want to understand government, I think you should go watch the movie The Legends of the Fall. I love that movie, especially when the dad, played by Anthony Hopkins, blows the fucking gangster and the sheriff in half with a fucking side by side shotgun. Westerns are great. Uh, the mob was definitely involved in the JFK thing. But here's the thing: is when when you talk about the CIA and the mob, you need to understand something. They're all the same thing. Welcome to the secret. Nothing happens at any level, no matter how good or bad, without the consent of, well, rich and powerful people. And if that's crime, there's a king of crime. If that's the CIA or whatever, there's a king of the CIA. And at various points, the king of the CIA and the king of crime have been the same person. Or maybe they're not the same person, but maybe they meet in a park every day and play chess. Like they've known each other since they were 5. That kind of shit. They trust each other. They trust each other like family because they are family. And anything that you've ever seen open and in the public about the mafia or any of that shit is the war spilling onto the streets, so to speak. Especially if the FBI gets involved. Um, I don't fully understand exactly the relationship that the FBI, the CIA, and the mob have, but they have some sort of relationship. See, Vatican, DC, Bank of London. Uh, this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. The nature of the universe is not simple, right? It's a complex order of things, and all of those things that you just said are 3 separate entities that all 3 have their fingers in pots. And the Vatican doesn't hold sway here. Not much. Like there's, don't get me wrong, there's churches and there's people that they hold sway over and whatever, but not like they do in South America. And like this is, part of the thing is like there are still a bunch of Catholic countries in reality. And like they ruled that section of the world. And then DC is the heart of the American empire, which is in reality, we hold the bat for Mother England at the moment. I think that's what's going on. Is it's like my grandma and I. My grandmother is 78 years old. She will die eventually, in her own time, in her own way. Until that day, if you fuck with grandma, you fuck with me. And I think that's very much so the relationship between England and America. And it's not so much like, they're going to take their empire back or some shit like that, but like after World War II, we had the option of breaking it apart and letting the world do what it's going to do, or we had the option of shepherding the world towards a more England-like future, and we chose to make the world England, which is a very English thing to do, and I don't like it. Relationship started taking out Mussolini. Yeah, I can see that. Mussolini was pretty much killed by the mob, as I remember. And like that's the thing a lot of people don't get is the people that come for you in the night when you're a leader and you fucked up. Who do you think that is? Prince of Thieves, the Prince of Darkness, the Prince of Liars himself on Earth. Whoever's in charge of the fucking mob, it's probably who's gonna come for you. Few other people too. And like at the end of the day, that's probably the CIA. And like some of the shit that's going on in government right now, I'm concerned is our own CIA setting us up for some sort of coup. What it looks like. And I think there's a lot of people that like pretend like Trump is evil because they're actually evil. And if you're actually evil, the way to fucking get people to think you might not be is throwing shit at the other guy, right? Like I'm not saying Trump is like a Boy Scout. I think Trump is Trump, and he's much as I am. I would be me no matter where you put me. Like he doesn't suffer other people. Now, I like that. It's a dangerous quality because, like, and this is what they see when they look at him. They look at this as danger. Like he could take over. He could declare himself emperor. Then why does the office of the president have that much power? I think maybe we should put him in power and see what he does because we put Joe Biden in power and it looks like we work for the Ukrainian mob now. That's what this looks like. They serve the beast. Yeah. Well, I think their new world order is built on shaky foundations. Their stone table was broken by a thunderbolt or some shit. It's almost like the gods ride with us. I don't know why the fucking Georgia Guidestones blew up, but I don't think it was an explosion. I think more and more that it got hit by lightning on a fucking cloudless day. That's what I think. That's what I'm choosing to believe. And I think the FBI is covering that up. I think I saw a Twitter page that was RC Christian or something like that that was just repeating the shit that was on those guide stones over and over and over again in like 8 different languages. And I'm like, hello, Satan. And it makes me think that the thing that put those guide stones up is the same thing that's funded all of this big tech bullshit. It's the, you know, Satanists that run the banks or some shit. Like, look at who benefited the most from the tech revolution. Computers revolutionized the banking industry in ways that you will never understand. They made it from where like the bank was a thing that could fuck with you to like, well, now the bank owns your life. Howdy, I'm the devil. And I'm here for your soul. And it'll be this mortgage payment. And like this in a nutshell is why I'm saying that you should never do that. Rent an apartment if you have to, live out of your van if you have to, fucking save up, buy a piece of land, and then save up more and start building a fucking building on it. Like they have made it to where you don't want them to own you. And yeah, these people do need to go to jail. Like this is all these Epstein people, all of them. Fuck it, I don't care. Like this has been my thing for a long time. Is I judged all these people as being unworthy when I was like 3. That's half of why I do anything that I do. Fuck them. Like you're gonna judge me? I think that's one of those things. Like I was told I had a very old soul once. I think that's about right. I think I've been here a few times. I think reincarnation is pretty much true. I don't know who I was or whatever, but I think we were all somebody, something. Like I heard someone say the other day, I think it may have been you, Smoke, that the locusts that are coming are all of the aborted babies. That's that sounds about right. See, the news media is like this running stream of bullshit. It used to be there was like 50% truth. That was way back, right? It's to the point now where like it's just the 1% truth that is left is like the puppy dog stories. See, I have the wheel of pain as my symbol, and it's on everything. And the coin that's on the end of my prayer beads that I have turning into like a mace is from the Lakota, and it's Crazy Horse. And I drilled a hole through his face. I did that on one of like the craziest fucking like vision quests you've ever been on or whatever. Like the thing that made my girlfriend leave me was this that happened. We were on a vendor and I had God flowing through me and I had to make things. And if I didn't make things, I was, gonna be crazy. And I was already crazy. And during this process, I drilled this hole in this coin and it was perfect. And then I lost it in my backyard. And I was a little down. And basically that process got her to go, okay, bye, crazy. Like, fair. But she needed to go grow up anyway. So, moral of the story is though, 6 months later, I found that coin in my backyard. I don't have the girl, but I have the coin again. And really, I'd rather have the coin. Go through all zodiacs. See, I've been very interested in the zodiac shit. It sounds like you know everything, Smoke. At least everything about this shit that I'm talking about. Because, like, there's been zodiac shit that has happened to me lately. That, like, I looked up what mine said and what my girlfriend said, and a few others. Like, just Googled it, first website that came up, looked at it, and was like, Jesus Christ. When I looked up my horoscope, it read, like, you'll have a hard time getting what you want. Something like that. Like, Roger that. And honestly, what I want at this point is to be left alone or to be given death and glory. One or the other. And they don't do either. And fuck them. It's one of those, in The Wind of the Lion, the movie I talked about the other night. He says the Europeans don't fight as men, they fight as dogs. The American government doesn't fight at all. They either passively aggressively fuck with you like a woman, or they shoot you in the head. That's what you're getting. And this is in essence why, like, I don't know, I now do the will of God, and I'm like Gandhi. Like, that's my response to that. Like, I don't know, like Gandhi with a bunch of rifles. What's really sad to me is we have so many people on this planet right now that could be out camping or fishing or doing whatever they want to do, painting, that are sitting in a cubicle somewhere listening to me or someone else bitch about the world while they type something or code or do whatever the fuck it is. And like, I'm sorry, but none of that is really important in any way at all. The coding thing, I could explain how we could fix that in 5 minutes, but no one would really believe me because I don't know anything about computers. But it's the fact that I don't know anything about computers that means that I could fix your whole system in 5 minutes. I I got a detention once in high school for computer hacking. I went to this Christian academy thing, like I said, and it was like a CIA brain mill kind of thing. And I was like the dark horse there. And they put me in the robotics class. I think I've told this story probably on here before, but they put me in the robotics class, and I talked and talked and talked to everyone in the robotics class who were all these hacker nerds. I found out their skills and superpowers, and I went, okay, what do we need? What do we want? Okay, well, we want to go where we want and do what we want on the internet. And we want to be able to leave campus. So I worked on leaving campus, and I organized them to work on the fucking internet thing, and eventually got the right information from three or four of them collected at the right place at the right time with the right other person to figure out how to break the school's internet thing without any of them figuring out what I was doing. And then I completely fucking broke the whole thing for myself. Basically, I had a key to go anywhere I wanted that was easy to remember and easy to use. And I shared that with a couple of these hacker people once I got to know them better. They're like, how are you going to Facebook and Wikipedia and porn sites? And how are you doing this? Because they knew that I didn't know anything about computers, but I somehow knew more than them. And this is the thing is I went and took and learned the exact thing I needed from each of them to do this. And then I taught them to do this, and then we all just enjoyed having the free internet. And then we had a Spanish class where half of us got stuck in the computer lab, and it was me and my friend Tim Tillich and all of the girls that were like us. By that I mean, like, I'm me. I've always been me. And they didn't want us in their Spanish class. And Tim carried a purse, and all of these girls were like they were the hot ones, to be honest. They were the hot bubble-headed ones. And they stuck us all in the fucking library, and they saw Tim and I going wherever, doing whatever. And of course, they instantly want in on that. And they're hot and convincing and not totally gay, right? Like, I'm bi as fuck, and Tim still to this day says he is straight, and I do not buy that at all. But whatever. Call me Tim. He is so hot. Anyway, the the girls there all thought he was fucking hot too, and eventually he slash I ended up giving them the keys to the internet. And as it turns out, giving that information to seven of the hottest women in fucking school was probably not the wisest decision. And as a result of that, I ended up in detention. It took 3 years or so, but I ended up in detention because those girls, if you really want to spread something, give it to the hot ones, I guess, because it was being used by every single student at that school within 6 months, and it took them 3 years to figure it out. And then at the end of the day, after 3 years of the internet being broken and then several months of trying to figure out who broke it, they ended up at, well, it had to be someone in this group. Who was it? And then they, like, my principal interviewed everybody, and I don't I don't remember exactly what order he interviewed us in, but I remember people had gone before and after me, and he was sitting there talking to me, and I'm like, "Yeah, how are you?" And we're just talking back and forth. I talked to him about camping and guns. And he's like, "Okay, anything else?" I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Pretty sure." He had me caught dead to rights. The other fucking nerds had fessed up already. So, anyway, we all got detention. I got more detention. 'Cause according to him, they were perfect little angels, and they weren't capable of this. It was me. Like, well, I'm glad you recognize that. Like, would you like the key to your gate back? He was like, what? I handed him a key to his fucking gates. That was the nerds helped me break the fucking internet or whatever. I helped them get out of school, and we went to fucking go get burgers and shit down the street. I I've done many things, but I used to hang out with a locksmith a lot. Enough said. I I have my ways and my tricks and whatever, and I ended up with a key to that place, and The thing that I did was I was given that key to go and lock that gate at some point, and I had clay, and I made a copy of the key, and I took it to said locksmith, and they're like, "I need 12 of these." He's like, "What is this key to?" Before I do this, I told him that it was the key to my high school's gates and front doors and shit. He's like, "What are you going to use it for?" Well, I told him, "Well, they think that they won't let us go get lunch and shit when in reality I can fucking destroy that place tomorrow if I wanted to." He's like, "Okay, don't do anything too bad with them." I hated that fucking school. It's one of those things like one of the things that made me me was being at that school and fucking hating it that much every day and doing everything I could to marginally disrupt the goings on there. This wasn't those days. This was like a mom and pop burger stand that was like literally 200 yards from campus that we all hung out at or whatever. And I think the burgers, like for a burger, fries, and a drink was like $6 or $7, something like that. But at that time, that was what a burger at a mom and pop place in Oklahoma would be. Like McDonald's at that time for the two burgers combo, whatever, the like two burgers, fries, and a Coke. That was like 4.75, $5 at this time. So it's a little bit more than that, but not by much. See, I never got kicked out of school. I was at a school that I don't think I could get kicked out of, basically, because of who I was. And it was like everyone else was there because their family like paid for them to be there. And I was there because my grandfather had favors and shit, basically. He was like, I need this person to be someplace where they're not going to end up in prison. My grandfather got me when he met me, and I love him for that. Like, my grandfather got me when he met me because I'm him, he is me. And, like, that's a special relationship to have with someone. To, like, get that, I'm going to be out of control wild, and to know that I'm going to fucking probably end up even fucking hating you and to still love you anyway. That was like the thing that like I think my grandfather always loved me best because he knew I was fucking him, basically, for one reason or another. And like he wouldn't have gotten the transgender thing, but lots of other shit he would have. Let's put it this way: I found a Marine Corps survival kit from Vietnam amongst his shit when I was going through his stuff after he died. It was open, and the bottle of Dexys was there, and it was empty. The Marine Corps Flight Survival Kit from Vietnam had what's it called? It's amphetamine. It's Dexy something something amphetamine. It's Dexy's Midnight Runners. So if I had to guess, I would say most of the Marine pilots in Vietnam were tripping balls most of the time they were flying, and I could see that, to be honest. It would make you really good at flying. Would not make you good at much else. But, you know, I can't fucking imagine doing that shit and flying into combat where you like the issue with that is like if you get shot down and you're on the ground and you have more pills, cool. You're cool. If you get shot down and you don't have more pills, you're going to be hurting really, really fucking bad in a combat zone, alone, lightly armed. That seems like a really bad idea. And my grandfather did that every day for like 4 years, something like that. He had 4 tours in Vietnam and a fifth one where he was stationed out of Iwakuni, Japan, and was doing long haul flights to North Vietnam, from what I understand. I miss him. The crazy part about him is he killed more people than fucking anyone you'd ever met. And at the same time, was like the most gentle and loving person I had ever met. His call sign in Vietnam was hateful. He got that name because he sounded like he hated people when he talked to them on the radio. No matter whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. I like that. It suits him. It suited him way more than other things he was called. I always knew him as Brownie, which was his other call sign. That was the friendly civilian one, I guess. I guess he hung up hateful when he left Vietnam. It's interesting now to study Vietnam and to look at Afghanistan and to look at Ukraine. We are just fucking repeating a fucking cycle. It's like wiping your ass with a wagon wheel. It never fucking ends. That's the thing is I don't think they intend it to end. The war must soldier on. That's the thing is if we have an empire, this will always be true. And like this is the thing that like people like E Honda don't get. To a certain extent, we have to be fighting. If we're not fighting, an unused sword doesn't stay very sharp, believe it or not. It gets rusty and it needs care and maintenance and use. And that's the same thing with a military. You have to exercise it and use it. And it's like a muscle. And to some extent, you need to have experienced troops from someplace. And this is why we find reasons to fucking go blow shit up in other countries, I think. I think we've been doing that for a long time. Kind of deciding rather than to have a full-on nuclear exchange with fucking Russia, we just kind of play chess on the side with, you know, the fucking kids we don't care about. And it staves off nuclear Armageddon. Or you could look at this as the gods have come back and they demand blood. Like if if magic has re-entered the world and the gods are back and the aliens are coming back, whatever the fuck it is. Well, in the past, Mars and Ares, one and the same. It's the god of war. They demanded blood and they, slept on a bed made of the skins of the men they killed. That was probably a real-ish thing that happened with some sort of real-ish entity. Okay. And if the modern incarnation of that is proxy wars, we might be fortunate. And like this is the thing that I don't know exactly what's going on with the tech and with the mystical shit and with the alien shit, but those three things are all one thing. All of the tech shit, all of the magic shit, and all of the alien shit is all one thing. Like this is the thing, like I'm not a computer hacker. I'm a magician. I broke my school's internet not by computer hacking. I did it by being me. I gather and organize other people's skills. And not by organizing them, but I learn the thing that I need to learn from them and move on. And it makes me kind of dangerous to put into a group of highly skilled people because you never know what I'm going to do at the end of it. And like that's the shit that like I think is some of the magic. It's not really magic, it's tricks and nonsense and whatever, but because they still live in a world that's built by people, and now they are trying to use bots to build some of this. I think my magic, quote unquote, is going to work more and more. I'm pretty sure that my idea is working. And my idea has been for the last 12 ish years. I'm just going to keep talking to the internet at large about this. And their bots hear everything. Let me repeat that. Their bots hear everything. Everything you say and do on the internet. So they are eventually going to hand over the keys to the kingdom to some sort of horrible AI. And my efforts here have been manyfold, but one of their main goals is whatever these fucking AI bots are, I would like to have heard all of this. I want them to hear me and what I think, and I want my thoughts that are basically fuck these controlling people to infect these bots. I don't know if that's going to work or not. But at the same time, I'm hoping to be entertaining and, you know, maybe do the same thing with people too. And like this is the thing is a lot of people don't get that they're being hacked. You're being hacked by various people. I'm telling you that I'm hacking you. And it's not that I'm like nefarious and trying to do this for whatever. I'm trying to break you free of other people's bullshit. Other people's bullshit, like if you if your decision making process is informed by I am a white Christian male conservative in Texas and I watch Fox News, you are misinformed. You're not as misinformed as others, but you are misinformed. Like you could be worse off. You could be the dude in California that only watches MSNBC and does nothing but smoke dope. I don't know. Like, not that that's bad, but if you did nothing but smoke dope and watch MSNBC, your worldview is going to be very interesting because I don't know exactly what bits you're going to pick out of MSNBC. It wouldn't be anything good. I think that's how you get my girlfriend Dakota, to be honest. Like that girl, that girl said she was an anarcho-communist. I gave her a fist bump and said, "I love anarchy." Like, I don't know what you say to that. Anarcho-communism. I believe in all of the government and no government. I like to ride the world's biggest miniature motorcycle. Like, it doesn't make sense. And like maybe it doesn't have to. I think that was part of her point is their system is so wrong is it doesn't matter what I believe anymore. I want anarchy and I want communism. And like, yeah, okay. I can see that. And that's why I loved her, is because like I could at least get why she was the way she was. A lot of people on the left I don't understand at all. And the thing that I have to thank God for really is getting to know her because I was I was wrong, not about everything, but about some things. And like I needed someone to seriously challenge my viewpoint from a point of love and not a point of fighting. Cuz if it's from a point of fighting, I won't ever change. And I think she made me a better person. And like that's the nicest thing I could say about someone. I think I made her a harder person to kill, amongst many other things, really. I made her funnier for damn sure. We were watching the Olympics, and I was talking about we should try a sport. And at the moment, we had just been watching men's synchronized swimming, and I told her that that was like watching Lindsey Graham talk, and she was rolling on the floor after that. So then we went to skeet shooting. She's like, "See, I know you'll like this." I'm like, I do like this." So we watched that. And like, we should get it. We should try a sport. What do you think about skeet shooting? And we talked about that for a while. And then I was like, what would be really good? We should really do is we should do fencing. And she just looked at me and went, "I'm sorry, I'm not that gay." I'm like, mic drop. You're, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Oh, I that was the I still love that moment with her. If I could just live in that week that that moment happened for the rest of my life, I would just do that. I would just live that week over and over again. Because, like, she would not have said that when we met. Flat out, oh, you don't make fun of gay people. Like, honey. I feel more than free to make fun of anyone the fuck I like. And part of that's because I'm me or whatever, and part of that's because anyone can. And like the gay thing, it's not like I don't want to go pick on people. I want to talk about subjects, and I think I should be free to talk about the subjects I want. And if they are general stereotypes about people, that has everything to do with them being people and nothing to do with them being gay, straight, black, white, Asian, or any other hot color of people. Like, I really don't care. Like, I don't understand the world's preoccupation with hating people for their differences. I think this is a real difference between me and most people that you've ever met is no matter what I say or do, it's from a place of love usually. And or maybe I'm picking on you because I'm trying to get you to fuck me. Could be. Like if you're hot, definitely. Like this is the thing with a lot of people. Like I, you know, sometimes it's just picking on you to pick on you. Sometimes it's picking on you to fight. Sometimes it's picking on you to, get you horny. It depends on who you are. And like this is the thing is if you don't know who you are and you're talking to me, you should be very careful. I think that's a lot of, you know, I don't know. It's a lot of some of my issues with the world is I live in a world where I'm surrounded by people that I can't say the word fuck to. I made a video a while back titled "The World Where You Can Say Fuck." That's what I want. I would like to be able to go up to a school teacher in front of her class of children and talk to you the way that I've been talking to you now. And I don't mean like about sex or whatever, but like I am leveling with you. And in order to level with you, I cannot be restricted in what I say. Some of the topics that I cover might need the word fuck. In fact, most of the things I talk about need the word fuck. Fuck is a fucking comma. You can use fuck to fuck all the fucking things that you want to fuck, you know? Fuck those fucks. It's a great word. Maybe we could end on that. This has been a long one. Talked about a lot of shit. And all of it was fucked up. I think Scotland Forever is the correct title for this. We really should go invade Scotland. Do you know the look the Queen of England would have if she lost Scotland before she died? Can we please make that happen? Like, there's already a castle at Edinburgh. We can just go sit in it. That's what we should do. In The Wind and the Lion, Sean Connery says, that a man's true wealth is only measured by the number of his rifles. And in that particular instance, he wasn't meaning his own rifles, he was meaning his riflemen. I think that's a very interesting way to look at it. And if we did go take Scotland with a bunch of riflemen and sitting in Burr Castle, I totally don't think there's much that they could do about it other than bomb us out. But to be honest, if we do anything in America, they're going to bomb us out anyway. Sit up in that castle with rifles and long swords and demand terms. Demand terms, and in the terms demand like an entire county of Scotland to ourselves. I think we should pick a good whiskey region if we do that. It would be really nice to have really, really, really free scotch. Sorry, really good free scotch, I guess. Have like the single malt empire of like the Orkney Islands all to ourselves or something. I think the Orkneys have scotch. Some part of that world has scotch. That's the part we'll demand. And we'll get creative with our demands too. Like, this is the thing about being pirates. I intend for our list of demands to include 70,000 pieces of Spanish silver, 70,000 pieces of Spanish gold, uh, a 55-gallon drum of green M&Ms, because I always wanted to demand that. I don't know what else, but like, this is what we should do. Like, screw America. Like, it's been nice. I don't want to fight you, but we need to leave, and we should just buy some destroyers from the Navy at like wholesale and load them up with shit in Israel that like is really cool and blows stuff up. And then we just go take the Orkneys and Edinburgh Castle. Demand terms. Here's the thing too, is like, they wouldn't be expecting a naval battle. They're the English. They have a huge navy. They'd never see it coming. We could buy some Russian submarines too. Those Foxtrots are cheap. Hunt like the wolf pack from the fucking Orkneys. Is this technically an international crime to be plotting my pirate empire live on YouTube? I don't really care anymore. I think we should get a letter of marque if we do this. I bet we could get that. Like, get a letter of marque from the country of Texas. Have it written that way and signed by Governor Abbott. You paid enough money, I bet you could get that. Get him to sign a blank piece of paper. Then type whatever the fuck you want on it. I'm sorry, but you have to recognize the legitimacy of my claim as a pirate lord of wherever the fuck it is to be seized. We have to fly the Texas flag over our pirate flag, maybe. I'm okay with that. And this is the stuff you can do if you break away from America, Texas. You could go and invade Scotland. Don't you want to own Scotland? Or Ireland, or Tangiers, or Nassau, or I can think of a few other places I'd like to have. But basically, if it was ever a famous pirate port, it's probably somewhere we would like to own. Like all of those ones in the Caribbean are now like beach resorts. The only thing that keeps those from, you know, the only thing that keeps those in the hands of the European powers and the American powers that are there is that there is not a band of well armed pirates set up in fucking Jamaica saying it's all theirs. There's an idea too. I'm gonna go join the Rastafarians. uh, Maybe not. I don't know. Jamaica's kind of hot, both in temperature and in other ways. But I really would much prefer to be at a more northerly latitude and have a cooler climate. This is why I'm back to Scotland. That and I like the poetry of it. Like my ancestors left Scotland because shit got too bad there, and they came and stole some land from some Indians and did what they did, and now we're gonna take all the Indians we can find and all the Scottish people that are here we can find and anyone else that wants to join and go back over there with a bunch of boats and just say that that's ours now. It's very English. It's very poetic. Basically, it's their Scottish pirates coming back with their Indian wives to take back their ancestral homes. That's how I'm choosing to look at what we're doing, what I'm doing. Whenever I invade Scotland someday. This is like the thing that I wanted to pick a cause that is somewhat preposterous. I I think this is somewhat preposterous. I think if we did manage to get a pirate boat, there's probably better things we could do with it. But again, I really like the poetry of this because, like, the queen sits there acting as like a judgy bitch to the world, sitting on a throne made of the skulls of other human beings. That scepter that she holds, if you don't get the symbolism of that, that is her badge of office in the same way that Negan's baseball bat is his badge of office. That's why that's a symbol of a king, not a queen. And it's the divine right from God to beat a man to death with a baseball bat. That's what she's saying she has by holding that. I disagree. I have a very similar bat, and it only exists to fucking beat her bat to death with. Amongst various other things, but anyone that you see holding a fucking scepter like that, that's the message. It's you can do what you want to do, but if you don't do as I say, I'm going to beat you to death with this bat. It's been that message for the last 10,000 years. She's still holding the same scepter. I'm not a fan. And like the reasoning behind me not being a fan is not that she has like done horrible things, but it's that whoever fucking succeeds her could do whatever they want. And how many generations of that are we until Louis the 16th? And yeah, that's England or whatever, but like as goes England, so goes the world in a lot of ways. Like this is the thing is if America is still making the world England, everybody still is in love with the royal family and watches all of their squabbles, and they've made the world England. That's what's going on here, I think, to some extent. And this is why my new proposition is let's be pirates. I have a coin in my shit to carry in my pockets in the end of the world that is it's a French soul from 1789. It has Louis the 16th on it. I got it for free. This is Dakota's. She left it here. Like, this is mine now. She got plenty of my stuff too, so. Including a coin from, what's that country called? The one that doesn't exist. Zimbabwe. I had a coin from Zimbabwe that I got when I was 4 from a teacher that went on a trip there. It ended up in her shit, so fair trade. I like the piratey nature of that coin. The thing that I like about, oh, at least the romanticized pirates of the 1700s, is to some extent their culture is what bore out America. Like America's constitution and shit was the highbrow class of the colonies that were reading, Voltaire and shit like that back then, that were doing business with these fucking pirates that had abandoned all social whatevers. And like when I say doing business with them, at various points, the colonies and or America were pirate ports. Especially after the Revolution, when England was going after the pirates, there was a lot of, and I can't talk. There was a lot of piracy that was done from the colonies. And before that, they had other ports, right? But eventually, a lot of those got raided and taken down and whatever. And the thing is, the pirate ports of the New World only got to stay what they were so long as they didn't piss too many people off and were heavily armed. It's when they started lacking in people and lacking in armaments and falling behind in technology and pissing off the wrong people that they fell. And my proposition basically is if you did go and take Nassau or Tangiers or someplace and make it the new pirate port of the world, if you did that, sorry, the cough threw me off. That rhymed. I was a poet and didn't know it some of the time, all the time. If you did the pirate port of Tangiers or wherever, though, the key would be to set up a political structure there that knew this somehow, like not like a Congress. Like, you should have a Congress too, but like, there's something to the English system of having a House of Lords and House of Commons, and like the House of Lords should not have very much power, but they should be like an emergency reserve. It should be like a reserve parachute that at the end of the day, if the people get to the point where we're at now, where like it's just fucking chaos and criminals are running the country and shit, and like something needs to be done, that there's a house of government that if enough of it came together and voted on that, like they could do that. And I don't mean like the Senate. I mean like, the Senate has too much new blood in it, really. In Parliament in England, they have the House of Lords and the House of Commons. And the House of Commons is elected, or was. I don't know how their system is now, but this is how it was set up way back when. And then the House of Lords was all of the landowning lords from back in the day. That was, the king's men. And this kept their country being somewhat what it should be. And by that, I don't mean like what the king wanted, but like at the end of the day, your country still has to be your country, and it needs to be whatever it is going to be. And you need to decide. And if it's going to be America, then you decide what it is to be an American and be that. And if it's England, you need same thing. But you can only do that if you have a just and fair government and you're represented and yada yada yada. And the House of Lords thing, I think if you did it right and you did it based on whoever goes over there first and seizes the fucking port, like the first 40 men or whatever, like that's your fucking like ruling council of fucking lords established, and that'll pass down like hereditarily or something like that. And there's no money with that. You don't get any payment with that or whatever. It's a duty, and it's a thing that like you're expected to go to this place once every couple of years and vote on some shit, and what you think and vote matters, and like that kind of shit. And like ordinarily a house like that would like have a vote once every couple of years on something, whatever it is, but they would exist to mediate other disputes. And this would be like the election bullshit. All of the election bullshit would, instead of going to whoever it's going to now in the government or the Supreme Court or any of that shit, it would go to this group of people who we don't even know who they are really. They're the unknown soldiers. Like that would be the way to do it too. Is you pick these families, like I said, out of the soldiers, and you pick them well, and like you make sure that these people are fostered and educated and trained to be the person that they need to be. And maybe they're not even told that they get to do this vote until a certain age. And like maybe by that certain age, they're a bum. Maybe by that certain age, they're fucking Trump. But at the end of the day, they're on Merlin's wizard fucking council or whatever you want to call this, the Untouchables. And like that's honestly, we need something like that in this country. And if we do ever establish another country, I think working in a house of government that is I don't know how they would function is like if they are unknown, average everyday citizens, They'd have to have some way to vote, and you couldn't do it as like a computerized thing. These people would all have to live in the same area and all go to the same place. Maybe this already exists. Wouldn't that be a thing? If it is a thing. I wonder why it's not doing anything. Well, on that theory, I think I'm going to end this show here. This has been 2.5 hours of this shit. And I guess I picked the name correctly because this did go on forever. Any last thoughts from the five of you that are here? And Smoke, the talkative one? I thought about selling porno mags at my high school. I never did that because I figured I would eventually get caught. I think I was right. I'll see you guys later.